What was your experience during the Great Depression?
Well, the biggest thing was it went around the world. There was a depression finally. It was that bad everywhere as it went around the world. So the thing was with the stock market, it wasn't regulated in any way. It was just a lot of rich men trying to get richer, let me put it that way. So when things didn't turn out right, why they pulled their money out, and the next week, why the stock market come to a screeching halt because it didn't have anything behind it. But the most thing you should remember is there's a book called The Rich Are Different. I don't know who the author is now, but I read it quite a while ago, and it was like a novel, but it had the fact that the Great Depression, or the stock market, stopped on October the 29th, 1929, and I was born the next day on the 30th. So I just tried to be funny, and I said, but with my family, though, my daddy never was without a job for very long, and my parents had 5 girls and 2 boys, and they came along about every 2 years. And then my youngest brother is 14 years younger than me. But the thing with finding out about the Depression, I always wanted to find out the exact day. And for years they never seemed to, if they wrote about it, they didn't put a date. And I never thought to look in an encyclopedia. I just had no idea where to find it. Then I read that book, The Rich Are Different, and that put the date in it. So for many people, they just had to make do. You reused till it wasn't worth anything, and a lot, if they could grow their own produce and can it, that saved a lot too. So what I remember is my daddy had a job. He worked for a truck company that built trucks. I keep trying to think of the name of it. It was in the suburbs of Philadelphia. That's why we lived there, and I was born there, and they call it Filthy-delphia. It's manufacturers on all 4 sides, so when you approach Philadelphia, it's filthy. It still is as far as I know. But then the Philadelphians got us, and they called us the Jersey mosquitoes. So finally, my daddy, how he found out about the job, I don't know, but he became a milkman. And that was a really stellar job, but also he was his own person. He didn't get paid a salary. His salary came out of the customer, the customers he had. And he had a little brown book with everybody's name in it, and he'd mark on there. The squares were so tiny, and he would mark on there whether they got their milk today. He made it up, and his college-educated brothers wanted to see it, and he was dumbfounded that my daddy didn't go to school, or go to college rather, that he could do something like that. Well, you put your mind to it, you could do it. So he was a milkman, I don't know how long, but he was known all over. But then when the war came, and I think more places were selling milk, my mother was more or less a seamstress. She had been making her own dresses before she was married, and she could make them without patterns.
What did you do during the Great Depression?
Well, I was born in 29. It really got bad by the early 30s. Around 36, it was really bad. And I may have been, 7 or 8 years old. And we really didn't notice it. I lived in a small town, but there wasn't any long lines or anything for people to get fed. In those days, people took in their relatives. If my grandmother, her husband died, then one of the relatives took them in, and they managed to find jobs doing most anything, I assume.
How was the war?
Well, with the war, it was something. We were all together, I guess, because it was a Sunday afternoon, and we heard that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor, and in the schools they sold us, what they call them? They were stamps, and a certain day you could buy them, and you had the book to put it in, and when you were finished you had enough for a $25 bond. Now, I don't think I finished mine. I don't know what I did with it. You could cash it in, I think, but when I graduated...
When did you come out of California, around what time?
Well, my husband got out of the Coast Guard because he got seasick. He joined the Air Force. There would be a sign there saying Kilroy was here. Well, they couldn't figure out, I don't know, I've never heard. Maybe we could look it up on the computer now, find out who did it. It could have been the frogmen is what they called them. They may have been doing it because they would be sent first to see how infested the place was, or just, whatever orders they were told to find out. Well, how was that?